Listen be very careful because I'm tired of listening to people who are choking on their competition. You play on a god level model on training, but when it comes to the game, you start to ghosting. And that's the moment that your body have negative thoughts, have nausea, have all these kind of inputs that make you feel bad instead of what you are trying to accomplish in that moment, that is winning the game. So before we kick into the reason you're choking and how to implement this, right, I just want to say the three main fear factors that are making your body choke, right? So the first one is the fear of fail. How many times do you feel yourself not doing something, not being able to be accepted, right? If I do this, I can be like that, and it always sucks. The fear unknown, right? So, how many times did you end up playing the game or performing, right, during competition outside the city that you are used to, right? Not in your hometown, but outside. In a national, international competition, right? How many times this is something that is totally unfamiliar and you feel alone? Or the fear of judgment, the fear of being the other one, speaking about us, our coaches, our friends, our family, our teammates, how do we react, right? If we fail, am I going to be judged, right? And this not doesn't happen only to you, but to all the athletes in the world. And especially one that comes to my mind very clearly is Westbrook, right? He felt really bad when he was in the Lakers, but when he steps out, right, and became a Clippers, suddenly all the change, it didn't change nothing when it comes to tactical, but just by changing the environment, right? Feeling home changed the game completely for him. So I don't want to waste you too much time on all these craft fears. I want to give you 5 practical steps in order to click in and make your fear your biggest unfair advantage. So these one are very dedicated before and during the competition during the game, right? So the first one that I'm going to tell you about is the pre-performance routine, right? Something that you can actually control, actual steps that you are planning out before, right? Your usual routine when it comes to the warm up, while you're trying to listening, right? If you have headphones, if you like to listen to music, go for it. And yeah, what you're about to carry yourself on your backs, right? The usual steps, but at the end of the day, you already have a mental map of what you're trying to do, right? Little steps. And it really comes down to Michael Phelps in my mind, right? When he visualized himself doing the exact routine, right, over and over again, so that when it comes to the moment of just swimming, he was already prepared. He doesn't have to think about the other things. The tip number two is about thinking about the micro, right? Taking little steps, right? Not talking about, playing all the game or just winning at the game, right? That is much more harder. I'm just talking about taking that little step, right? When it comes to breaking down it to a micro step, right? The first step, what you're trying to build, right? What you're trying to create on that part. And this is a thing that at the same time gives you confidence and especially momentum, right? A lot of times it's not about doing it perfect, it's just about creating the right momentum. Tip number three for you is about having a mantra mind phrase, especially in your head, right? When it comes to, let's say, kind of trick your mind into doing something, right? It can be a lot of useful, right? So you can repeat yourself, accomplishment that you did in the past, right? Even if you didn't have a sort of accomplishment on a city basis, on a club basis, or a regional, national, wherever it is, right? You can just thinking that you are an athlete, like you are Cristiano Ronaldo, and you just repeat it, right? It doesn't really matter what you're thinking yourself. The only thing that matters is what you put and what you create on the field, what you create on the pitch, what you create, on the moment, right? And these are all good stuff, but at the end of the day, how do you flip the side when things are not going to the way you expected, right? Yes, things may go well, right? But at the same time, they go to a total opposite place of the spectrum of the possibilities, right? So I think that you can use a lot is basically have a reset button, a clean slate for yourself, right? You could be, slapping a specific resistance mat that you have, bringing it up and playing, that 10 second with that specific toy that you have and bring you luck. It doesn't really matter what it is, but at the same time, it must be something simple and that gives you that clean slate in the short amount of time possible. The last one tip that I'm going to give you is about reframing your sense of fear, right? It's not about, just living in a moment, right? I really like to be present, but at the same time, if I have to give you advice for yourself, like just reframe it. It's normal, it's part of the game, it's part of mind, and it's just a reaction of the body responding to, I'm doing something important, and my brain is giving myself inputs to that, I have to be prepared. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you think you deserve to accomplish more in less time, click the link down below, and we see you there.